it's Thunder v Sixers, first game of the Big Bash, million people watching. Or there's an interview that I look at and I'm like a deer in headlights.
How did the move to the Thunder come about? How did you first know about your signing?
To be honest, I found out about two days ago. Coming out of the blue a little bit. So, yeah, pretty exciting.
So he was always the kid, like, oh, he's played for Australia under 15s. He's the kid that's going to go places.
He was an X factor. He could do everything. He could bat and bowl really good leggies as well.
He usually gets a bit nervous before a game, but more like hyperactively nervous. This time he was very quiet.
I just remember my perception of mental health was that you were soft or that you were weak. It was just this big pressure thing, and I was like a little cooker that was just going up in my brain. And then I remember it opened up and I was like, holy shit, this is happening in front of a million people.
Too good. Dean struggling to get that on board.
A front foot no ball from a leg spinner. Unacceptable, Viv.
It just fell to pieces mentally. So I'm not going to try and play professional cricket anymore.
He was kind of creating a way that he could come back to cricket, but it could be a fresh start for him.
And I asked a few people around, I was like, what's going on? Why is Blake Dean, he's playing second grade? They said, oh, look, as long as you're not recording, he's playing left-handed. This guy who had played for the Sydney Thunder was going to try and bat left-handed all summer. I thought it was absolutely incredible. I thought it was really bizarre at first as well.
I've been well aware of his ambition to go left-handed through the grades of cricket, and I think it's exceptional. It's a big change and totally different to what anyone else has probably ever done in cricket.
You miss out on all the positives if you're not willing to push through the hard times. I messaged him that and I went, maybe I should play this SCG game. I wouldn't want to play that if he wasn't going through what he did.
Do you want to play Big Bash again?
Glenn Maxwell will bowl. Actually, we'll go Lindsay. Lindsay's bowling. Who are you in the Aussie team? Oh, Maxie. Right, where's your 6? Got to go over the fence. Right, you ready?
I suppose the raw element of playing cricket when you're a kid, I think you just competed with your brothers and you just wanted to get a bat, get a bowl, you wanted to be involved. You didn't care if you got bowled or hit it over the fence, you just wanted to play. You just create little mini test matches, pretend to be Mark Waugh, pretend to be Greg Blewett, pretend to be Michael Bevan, all your favourite players. The left-handed, right-handed stuff actually started back then because you'd always muck around and try and teach yourself a little bit the opposite side to try and learn on your real side. And I wasn't afraid back then to fail or get out because you just go straight, grab the ball again and you'd go again. It is a team sport, but it's individual at the same time, and I think that's why a lot of people connect it with life. It throws you so many challenges and it shows you that things just don't go your way sometimes and you have to solve that problem on your own. That aspect of falling in love with the game definitely happened in that backyard.
There was a family called the Deans that was a pretty powerhouse family in the Mitchell cricket.
They had this huge tree in the backyard and a huge long run-up area where it's essentially the tree was the wickets. The competition in that was as fierce as you'll ever see, the backyard cricket.
I would have started playing against Blake when I dare say about 12. He was an X factor, he could do everything. He could bat and bowl really good leggies as well.
4 brothers, big backyard, big property, so much space to do anything involved a ball.
We used to play cricket for hours and hours, and when it rained was the best because you could play with hard ball and you'd absolutely belt it into the tin and dint it, but Mum or Dad didn't know, so because you could just hear the rain belting onto the tin because the whole house was just a shed.
This is where we used to play, Dad, down this left bit. I remember playing down there heaps because Snoopy, you'd hit it over the rock and Snoopy would go fetch it and bring it back all the time. There was a tree just there and that was a stump, so you'd bowl here. And if you hit the rock, it was 6.
All I have of memories of Dad's sporting expertise was he just had this room and it was just full of huge trophies, motorbike trophies. And I hated motorbikes. And again, they went fast. I did it, but I didn't enjoy it. It was scary for me and I think I was a bit of a Again, the older term would be soft or whatever, but I think I was just sensitive.
For me, I don't think I did anything special for them. I just tried to instill in them that if they kept at it and just practiced hard, don't say Mum didn't make my bed this morning properly, you know, no excuses.
But I remember one game, Dad was like, Blake, what are you doing? Can you try and score aggressively? And I was like, Dad, I've got 100, isn't that what you're supposed to do? He said, mate, try and actually hit the ball through some of the fielders that are over. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember from that moment, every ball I tried to hit was literally trying to whack it over mid-on or mid-off for the next 20 years, which was very interesting that I remember that comment. It was 100, but it wasn't an entertaining 100. And he wanted to see me take the game on a bit more. And coming from a guy who wasn't really a cricketer, it was interesting advice, which led me to become a decent player. Interesting, I haven't seen this stuff for, I don't think I've ever seen that. I reckon I saw this when I was a teenager.
See, my memory of Blake, he was hopeless batting. He might not, to be honest, we might not have given him a lot of time with the bat. He was a gun leg spinner. He played at Australian under 15s as a leg spinner. So he was always the kid like, oh, he's played for Australian under 15s. He's the kid that's gonna go places, you know. So by that time, I was in Sydney. So I was just a selfish young kid, focused on my own life and career. I didn't pay too much attention to Blake, but I look up and all of a sudden he's playing first grade in Sydney and having a great time and whacking them everywhere with the bat. And that was sort of the first time I realised that Blake's actually a good cricketer, yeah.
Jono rings me up and says, you're doing it right in Sydney. He said, you should come down and play Futures League down in Canberra. Drove into Canberra, pretty much just stayed on Jono's floor. I didn't have a job yet, and I was like, geez, that's a bit of a risk, but I'll just play with Jono because I wanted to play with Jono, and I missed that kind of family feel for cricket.
It's pretty unique to have the two brothers come in and just have such an impact on cricket in Canberra, not only in Cricket ACT's competitions, but for the ACT Comets as well, where they were both star batsmen for that side as well, playing against state second 11 teams.
I remember playing a second 11 game while I was a part of the test squad, and he hit me straight back over my head with a brand new ball, back over mid-off for 6. He and his brother Jono, two guys that are freakishly talented and have been since they were kids.
It's pretty phenomenal considering where they are and where they would have come from when they were growing up playing cricket in the backyard.
When you finish your junior cricket career, the pathway to becoming a player for Australia starts in grade cricket. That's your local competition, playing for your local club. 5th grade, go to 4th grade, 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and then on to 1st grade. The best players in those country 1st grade competitions will get picked up for regional bash spots. But the thing everyone's gunning for is a Futures League deal. Impress in the Futures League and you might have a chance at earning a professional first-class contract for your state. But the Big Bash is where all the eyes are watching and players get their first taste of playing in front of big crowds. Playing for Australia is what every cricketer aspires to do that's born in this country.
In 2011, I was playing for the Comets, and that gave you, I think back then it was like maybe $1,500 a match. And like that wasn't enough to just play cricket, train 3 times a week and play and travel to WA or South Australia and play 4 days. No work would allow me to get to training at 4:30. Retail would go to 5 or any other jobs would go to 5 because I was actually legitimately at home struggling.
I thought he was like a skater boy kind of person from first meeting him because he had like long hair and he looked like he didn't really care about fashion. Turns out he actually didn't, but I thought it was like a cool vibe. From the moment I met him, he was just really interested in everything about me and everything about my family and my life, and it's what still wins me over is that he's just so easygoing and he just makes life so easy.
I'd met Elise, obviously fell in love. Her parents were loving enough to let us move into her house as a 23, 24-year-old.
I suppose when you're playing Comets and, or really any kind of that level of sport where you're not quite making it, but you're still in the pathway, it's really difficult to manage the rest of your life around that. You're still having to work a full-time job and then do full-time hours to play a sport as well. So it's a lot of hours on top of what a normal person would do. It is a big sacrifice to have your partner doing that for the whole summer.
Trying to pursue a career in the game while balancing a family, balancing a job. You've got to make that sacrifice and give up so much, and there are so few opportunities available. The only way you can get one is by putting yourself on that stage, in that second 11 competition, in that regional bash, and pushing for a first-class deal or a big bash deal.
I needed more from Blake when Dash was born, and he kind of had to get used to that, as new dads do. He was away for a couple of weeks when Dash was relatively young, a couple of weeks at a time, and obviously trained during the afternoons, nights, and had to work kind of full-time at Telstra at that point to make ends meet. Me being on maternity leave as well put a strain on things. So I think it does put time constraints on a lot of things, and for Blake it would have probably been really hard to manage as well, wearing all those hats and trying to meet everyone's expectations from all the different categories. Before he played Big Bash, he got reserves listed for the Renegades, him and Jono and a couple of other people. And I think that was the first time that I saw kind of a fire ignite inside of Blake, and him realise that he wasn't that far from that next step.
Comets were playing the Thunder in a tri-series because we were just an invitational 11. We were like there to help the Thunder. And then I played real well in those games. And then they just, after one for the Comets, the last one, they just walked into the change rooms and Higgsy's like, mate, they want you over there. And I was like, okay. And down and they go, congratulations to Liam Beadle and Blake Dean, you got contracts for this season. And we were like, what? Just happened. Instead of me going, this is really fun, I remember going, where am I going to stay? I've got no money.
Congratulations on your selection. How are you feeling about tonight's game?
Obviously, I'm very excited, and yeah, it's a massive chance for me, and it's very exciting to play with world-class players.
I feel like I played 6, 7 Big Bash games before I played the one, because we played the Renegades against Murley, Aaron Finch, Pattinson, and I scored 40-odd and took 2 for. We played them a few times and I did really well. We played the Thunder. I got Mike Hussey out. I bowled Kawaja. I bowled really well. And I batted really well. I got a couple of 40s, a couple of 30s and took 3 fors. But then when I played my only one and single Big Bash game, the only thing different was the actual crowd.
He usually gets a bit nervous before a game, but more like hyperactively nervous. This time he was very quiet. I don't think he had a lot of knowledge about the expectations that were on him from the Thunder.
Massive opportunity, so hopefully I can take it with 2 hands.
Cricket, you never really play in front of a crowd when you're a kid. Even when you get to Futures League, no one watched. And that's like second tier to state cricket, which is next tier to playing for Australia. The whole performance thing you don't realise when you're a kid, but I just didn't love people watching. Some people love it, some people don't love it. I think to be able to be successful at a sport, you have to love it. Big Bash is different. For me, that was a challenge. It was always a challenge, having people watch the sport.
It's interesting watching a leggy that you don't know much about. Oh, that's come out. Rookie leg spinner, so, that's gone to find something in the last couple of overs here just to...
On the offside.
Got it. Too good.
Beautifully bowled.
Too good.
Fist cut.
He'll hit the stumps by the time the batter come down.
Dean struggling to get that on ball here.
A front foot no ball from a leg spinner. Unacceptable, Viv.
I could always control what I was doing with the ball for my whole career. I could bowl where I wanted, when I wanted, and how I wanted. But that night, with the dew and with my mental preparation after that none for 2 off 5 balls, after that no ball, it just fell to pieces mentally.
My recollection from it's probably very different to Blake's. He bowled some wides and some no balls, but it wasn't really a big deal. Like, the crowd weren't booing him or, heckling him or anything like that. So in terms of his bowling innings, I didn't really notice that it was bad. Like, he got Nick Maddinson out, if I remember correctly.
You got Nick Maddinson out and copped Steve Smith next. So it's not a bad couple of batsmen you had to bowl to on debut. And then when he came out to bat, he was facing Brett Lee, so he did really well.
I think if the team won, perhaps his experience would have been different.
I think he had high expectations of himself to perform, and in his mind he didn't meet those expectations. But in the end, I think he took 1 for 28 off 2 overs, and it actually wasn't that bad. And people have gone for a lot worse, right?
suppose my own expectations were to do well. It was the first game on TV, family was watching, all that type of thing.
The whole taxi ride from the SCG to where we were staying in Darling Harbour, he didn't speak to me, didn't speak to the taxi driver. And then we got back to the apartment we were staying in and he locked me out and he just thought his career was over and that he'd let everyone down basically, and that everyone who'd believed in him or trained him as a young kid, or yeah, basically anyone who'd ever touched him at a personal level or a cricket level, he thought that he'd let them down.
And I literally said, I'm just going to go work at Telstra, like, I'm not going to play. Saying no to playing Ireland, saying no to playing against Afghanistan in a couple of games, and I remember Higgsy, the coach, being like, Blake, what is going on? What are you doing? Like, these are World Cup warm-up matches, they're huge matches for you. I remember actually talking to the boss at Telstra and saying, Willow, can you tell the coaches that I have to work? I'm not going to try and play professional cricket anymore. I tried all different psychological methods to try and help me, and I ended up seeing a sports psych after because I really realised it turned into a bit of a problem with my cricket. I was really proud of myself going back to the Thunder trials. I think it was the year later after dealing with it all. I think they called it Thunder Academy, so second string players looking for contracts. Yeah, Elise and Dash went into the stands and I took a heap of catches in warm-up, and then I remember taking a screamer to catch Larkin at mid-off full stretch and everyone going nuts, and I came off the field because my shoulder was a bit sore and I had this huge graze down the side. And I came off, I felt nothing of it, and then obviously travelling back to Canberra, I was like, at least my shoulders. Anyway, obviously wouldn't have been just that, but years of bowling wrong-uns and that dive obviously cooked me, so couldn't bowl. I remember that clearly 5 years ago. I still remember playing Futures League game in Melbourne against Victoria, and I just was bowling. I reckon I took 3 for 4 for something, and every ball I bowled was like a knife going into my shoulder. Obviously, as a player, you're like, oh, I shouldn't tell coach and staff, then I don't get to play. Maybe this will be my last game. And it turns out I'm pretty sure that was my last game for Canberra at Futures League level.
When Blake came in, he'd already seen a surgeon and a few other medical professionals, and he was diagnosed with a supraspinatus tear, which is part of the rotator cuff, or commonly known as a rotator cuff injury. He tried a little bit of rehab here and there, had some physio, had some other treatment, and was told that he needed surgery in order to actually get back to bowling on that side, and was at the point where he'd kind of given up on it. He didn't want to have surgery.
The operation was like $7,500 or $8,000 or something, and I was like, I can't afford that on my shoulder to be out for 6 months. My body let me down right at the point where I thought I had my mindset back to where I wanted it, and looking back at that, it was the crossroads of both kind of coming to a point. I just always liked the idea of switching, and I loved the concept of it. That's done a bit, surely. The injury obviously led me to do it in the first place, but everyone sort of said, no, you can't do it. And the more people said no, the more I wanted to sort of test it out and do the experiment. And the more people that kept saying no, the more I trained. And all things, if someone says you can't do something, it doesn't matter what sport it is or what thing it is, you always got that feeling where you want to prove someone wrong and make them believe that it's a possibility. Once you hit past 23, you have to do something remarkable to be able to pick up a cricket career.
And I asked a few people around, I was like, what's going on? Why is Blake Dean playing second grade? They said, oh, look, as long as you're not recording, he's playing left-handed.
This year, for me, is not about winning premierships, it's not about winning games, it's about changing my game and seeing what I can manipulate myself and change and see what information I can find out in cricket itself. You see so much on that switch glove with baseballers pitching left and pitching right and hitters being able to hit left and hit right. They do exist, and I think pitcher gets last say, or one or the other. Someone gets last say, and once they decide, they have to stay on that side. Because you can't just keep switching. If lefty goes left and then the pitcher wants to go curving the ball across them and go left, then someone's going to keep changing, aren't they? The batter will go back to right to try and get the lefty. It's like me batting in cricket and having a left arm ortho bowl to me, right-handed, and I'm going to go, no, I'm going to bat left, and then them changing to right arm off spin. It'd be an interesting decision to see who gets last say, because I'll keep switching to try and get that ball turning into me.
He told me he was doing it for the kid that wants to bat like Steve Smith and David Warner at the same time. Tradition says you can't do that.
He was kind of creating a way that he could come back to cricket, but it could be a fresh start for him. People don't necessarily talk to him so much about the Big Bash stuff now. They more talk to him about the left-handed stuff. So I think he likes that a little bit more.
I clearly remember being behind the coffee machine, and then Justin, I think his name was, who was the person who came in to teach us how to make coffee. And I remember telling him the story when I was like, yeah, we're doing this is pretty cool. Because he's a boxer. He went, oh, so you're turning Southpaw? And I clearly remember messaging you and going, the Southpaw Project.
Southpaw means basically you're a left-hander. The term is derived from late 19th century baseball ballparks, so the pitching arm would be facing the south, and he was given the term Southpaw, and now you hear it a lot in baseball, in boxing, and now cricket.
We say that a batsman's right-handed because he puts the power hand, if you like, at the bottom of the handle. But some of the best left-handed players are right-handed in all of the things that they do in their lives, because batting is often talked about as a top-handed game. Michael Hussey is the classic case of a guy who's switched to batting left-handed because he wanted to be like Alan Border in the backyard at home, and he's right-handed in every other attribute, but he's, as a result, a beautiful driver of the cricket ball because he's so skillful and so adept at letting the right hand lead the ball.
When you look at bowling to David Warner, he's probably one of the most explosive left-handed batters I've ever seen, but I remember a session in Johannesburg in South Africa about 2012, I think it was, and he actually just faced me out in the middle of Joburg right-handed because the wicket was spinning so much, and he ended up hitting me for about 3 sixes. So that's when I really probably noticed that guys can actually do both ways. It's an unbelievable skill, and I reckon if guys are good enough to do it, then I'm all for it.
If someone is playing you really well as a left-hander, bowling right arm off spin, the fact that you can then go, you know what, just going to give him something different and go that way. I think Louis Tully for Uni New South Wales is one that I saw do it and do it pretty well in first grade cricket in Sydney. Outside of that, I literally haven't seen many people being able to execute it. But yeah, the reason this is a talking point and interesting, I think, is because of the nuance and the niche that there isn't anyone else doing it.
It's an interesting theory because I think people think you're not trying your best if you try something different. And especially doing this, it's taken as you're either taking the mickey or you're not actually giving your best. Even Jono, like at the start, he was like, this is ridiculous. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Because I think he felt like I was throwing away chances of still playing higher level cricket right-handed.
He hit 140 off 100 balls last year. It was exciting to see, but I would love to play right-handed and play Big Bash.
I can only imagine that it'd be double the amount of training, I guess. Still got to be able to do it right-handed and then obviously learn left-handed as well, so I can't tell you how much training would have to be involved.
I'm sure there'll be a little bit of criticism around it. You're going to have your diehards that say that it's the wrong way to play cricket and you're playing with the fabric of the game.
Well, I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, because I thought he's got so much to offer right-hand.
He's his own man. I will support him in whatever he wants to do, and if that's to play first grade this year, then I think he can probably achieve that goal.
Really nervous, obviously, just like any other sport. First game, you get really nervous, like totally nervous coming to the game, all the doubts that people had.
He just wanted to just make sure he got off the mark, get a couple of runs on the board and see where things went from there. And things happened a lot better than I think he planned. 85 not out. It's a pretty impressive effort for a bloke who's never played a game wrong-handed before.
85 from 58 balls in that first weekend, when he said he would have been pretty happy with a score of 20 that week.
The more I do it, the more I can show that it's probably a possible thing, especially since I've only done it over a short period of time.
He's basically taking tradition, throwing it out the window and says, why can't we do this? Why can't a kid bat left-handed and bowl right-handed and swap in between innings.
You'd like to think long term it could come into any form of cricket. You look at a really traditional test match field, if someone's bowling at the stumps, chances are they've got 5 on the offside, 4 on the leg side. If someone's bowling at the stumps, you switch around and then hit it through what would have been the leg side. There's less fielders there. It could have an impact in any form of cricket at any sort of level, depending on how comfortable someone is with it.
This guy we'd covered for years, who had been absolutely phenomenal. For him to not be in first grade at all, for him to be playing in second grade was just a bit of an eyebrow raiser at the start, and then to realise what he was doing, why he was doing it, it was pretty well received. Everyone was really excited about what he could do, where he could go with it.
Changed the way I was playing. I was just flashing everything through covers, trying to get boundaries, because I can't just drop and run or anything like that. Got off to another start, which is 3 in a row. So I think I got 20, 13, and now I think that was 30. Starts are becoming easier in second grade. I think it's important to cricket to turn them into more runs, but I'm still learning to manipulate the strike a little bit. I think today was a bit different, and last week was a bit different because that's T20, whereas today I usually would have been able to drop and run and turn it over, but done my groin on both sides, which I think is part of the change as well. I'm starting to realise that ambidextrous part of it, being trained, is you still got to train physical part of your body, which I'm probably at my unfittest in my cricket career. Even though I'm feeling like I'm trying something new, I'm still at my unfittest because I just don't have time. It's a bit silly to think that I can just go straight into being a first grader, even though I got overconfident last week, straight into being a first grader straight away in 3 months, having only batted left-handed or in a game, 4 or 5 games. So I think it is, and we keep saying it's probably like a year project to get to a certain point, which is probably the goal of first grade, starting first grade, and then work from there.
Gave you a storyline to keep track of. While you wouldn't write about it every single week, you'd check the scorecards in second grade and think, yeah, how's Blake Dean going this week? How long's it going to be before he gets into first grade? And it didn't take long for that to happen.
It is round 6 and you're playing first grade.
Yeah, it's a good achievement, I suppose, isn't it? I think I've got lucky because there's some players out, some rep players out, which is the first thing, but that creates opportunity. And I suppose a captain that's willing to give me a chance as well. But I have earned my spot, like averaging 40 in second grade over 6 games is something that I'm pretty happy with at the start of the season. I would have taken that hands down. Feel a bit like a kid debuting, but I suppose it's a good thing, is bring the fun back to the game and the challenge back to the game. We're not 100% sure, but I think I'm the first person to play Premier cricket as a left-hander, sole left-hander and a sole right-hander, as a left-hand bat, left-hand bowler and right-arm bat, right-hand bowler. I think I'm probably ahead of where I should be, but saying that, today could bring me back to 0, couldn't it? Like I could get all out first grade and then fail and then have to go start from scratch a little bit in 2s, but that's what you want. You want to learn something and keep improving if I'm gonna make it work.
You nervous?
Yeah, very nervous. I don't think I've been nervous since I was about 15.
I've been well aware of his ambition to go left-handed through the grades of cricket, and I think it's exceptional. It's a big change and totally different to what anyone else has probably ever done in cricket. I was intrigued to see where he was going to go with it all.
It's probably an achievement playing this, but obviously the end result is being able to play this consistently and do well at it. The whole experiment's about doing well and starting to dominate as a left-hander. So How long that takes, time will tell, but this is more an opportunity, and yes, it's a box tick to play in first grade, but I suppose it's just an opportunity to see where I'm at and how I cope.
So when I first saw Blake, as I said, he was told he needed surgery, and we're actually focusing on more of his whole body for the Southpaw Project. But we thought, hey, let's have a go at this shoulder anyway. So we went through and did a lot of movement analysis, seeing what was working well, what wasn't working well in his shoulder, and picked out some specific muscle deficiencies that I felt we could work on, and some biomechanical chain, like the whole body. So Blake's response has been great. A little bit unexpected, I think, from both of us. When he first came in, it was more about looking at his left side and trying to prevent injuries on his left side, where we've actually got him back to bowling and batting on his right side now.
I think it's 6 months, maybe 7 months I've been working with Sarah, and we've just slowly built it up. Like, I came here with it not being able to bowl, and now we're up to about 12 overs.
He did get wickets early on in second grade. He's picked up a few in first grade as well. So it's pretty remarkable to see just how far he has developed as not just a left-hand cricketer, but as a cricketer in general.
That first thought was, okay, well, it's a bit disappointing because he's so good. But then as it progressed and, well, it's not just a hit and miss thing he's doing, he's actually invested in this, and people started to see that actually he was working really hard and getting better, and all of a sudden he's back to 50 off 70 or something, off 40 balls in second grade as a left-hander, and you're like, oh, hang on a second. That's pretty cool. He's a different human being sometimes. He likes to do things his own way.
The year was about training and getting myself up to a standard, so I knew I was ready to play first grade level, which through the season, midway through when I played, I wasn't. But I think I think I was towards the end of the season. Next year, I'll be looking to definitely start in first grade, whether it's at Western Cricket Club I'm at now or at another club. I definitely think I'm ready with both ball and bat to be able to merge them both together and start switching.
Do you want to play Big Bash again?
Don't know. Trying to slip that cushion there. Struggling on myself to go. Look dashing his dirt ball. Yeah, I suppose, but again, you won't know until if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm a long way off. So, but I've got skills. It's just whether or not I can get this left-handed side up to making people notice that this thing is possible. I need to get back in the Comet setup or go back to Sydney and dominate, which I know I could do, but I've got a family now. I've got another kid on the way. It's hard to risk all that for a dream, I suppose. No one probably knows I play cricket outside of Canberra now, and that's why I love this idea. I have to do something different to try and make an impact. I really think this is possible.
It's been a steady start. I suppose the whole goal of the season is to hold my spot one, so I can't get too far ahead of myself in the fact that I've had a good start to the season, so I don't want to get too far ahead. But I've scored my first 50, which was one of my goals, season goals, and I've bowled reasonably well left-handed and right-handed at the same time, and the right shoulder's holding out as well. It felt like, I suppose I was a kid again, and all that hard work and getting the highest score in first grade that you've ever got, just paying off, I suppose, and it made me sort of believe in what was happening. I still lean towards the right shoulder, and it's a good thing that the rotator cuff injury is healing. I bowled 10 overs yesterday just right, because the game depended on it, and I've told the captain of the team that whenever we need a win, then I'll turn to my strengths. But I have bowled probably 80% left-handed, so left arm's doing well, but it's still not my favoured arm. But scoring that 50 as a left-handed, I think made the rest of the competition realise that I'm actually improving and getting better as we go, and that hard work is sort of starting to pay off. By no means am I a gun yet, but I'm doing well in first grade. left-handed game, I'm now back training at the Comets as a train-on squad member, which is really good. It means I get to have a bowl and a bat every now and then as a left-hander. So it's good that that's been accepted there, and that's probably the best way that I'm starting to improve. I think I also made the Canberra Aces, which is just the T20 side that plays in the Country Cup, which is really good. And I think it's been accepted as a left-hander, so I'm allowed to play as a left-hander if I choose. But again, I'll start to sort of mess around and switch between both.
The bat, or do you want to catch? Oh, back, sorry. 100! Good boy! 100!
We always talked about careers that he'd be interested in, and teaching was one that came up a lot. He didn't love what he was doing as a job before, like it put a lot of pressure on us as a family, and he worked nights, which was very inconvenient for young children and for me. Moving into his coaching role was something that I was looking forward to having him around more.
I've been coaching since I think 2011-12. Because it was underground, the kids always used to say, oh, I'm going to the underground. When Southpaw started, the kids loved it, and I think I gravitated towards what young kids liked, and hence the Southpaw Underground.
Obviously it's prepared me physically, but mentally he says even if the bowling is like really good or the people are a lot older than me, I just have to trust my abilities.
Because of his coaching background and his interest in coaching, he always wondered whether there was kind of any point in teaching kids both left and right-handed, particularly at a young age, to kind of develop that, both sides of the brain.
We started doing left-hand throwing, I'm not sure how many years ago, but yeah, I think I've got an all right left arm. Blake just got me to practice at home, and we did like 10 minutes before every training just doing left arm throwing. I haven't really got the bowling left arm, but yeah, sometimes we might practice some switch hitting, so eventually that might be a good part of my game.
That's Blake. Oh.
I was in the office covering that game, watching the scorecard, and it was pretty remarkable to see John O'Dean had scored 200 that day as well, and you saw Jono just absolutely killing it, and then Blake comes in at number 8, and you think, all right, they're off to a really good start here. They've got one foot in the door of a grand final. Just where can these guys go? And Blake Dean comes in and hits 291 from just over 300 balls. It was absolutely incredible to see the partnership these two guys were putting on, and messages started going around and people asking me on Twitter, is he batting left-handed? What's happening? He just seemed to strike him so sweetly that day, and Jono had said he'd seen Blake hit him that sweetly before, but never long enough for him to score 291 runs.
Was I focused? Yeah, I was focused, but I think I was relaxed and just having fun playing. That second year to do really well and average sort of mid-20s in first grade Premier Cricket and bowl really well left-handed was incredible. And I was like, that's the start. I was like, this is possible.
So late last season, 2017, we had a little girl called Winslow Blaze. Yeah, it's pretty cool having girls around now. We didn't even know what it was like to have girls around a family. There's boys everywhere. And then we started off with, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4 boys in a row. All our kids, so it was just like, oh, he's a girl, they're going to turn up. Tip of the dash, the second kid always adds a little more pressure. Yeah, I don't know. It was fantastic, obviously, and Elisa's such a strong mum. And I was really excited, actually. Like, it's so good now, but I had a tough time early, real tough time. I suppose you don't know until it's happening, but I started to struggle towards the end of the pregnancy. I don't know if they call it instinct or whatever. I think it was like 2 weeks out. It was pretty close, and she felt bad because it wasn't really there for her. So.
I think mentally, one of the hardest stages in my life. Two very different experiences for me, which Dash was so positive and I was so happy. And then win, I just couldn't control my mental state, really. I was super happy, but I just couldn't control certain things, I suppose.
What was your biggest concern at that time?
Probably just being a good dad. You have expectations of yourself as a parent, and then went and saw a psych again. I wasn't afraid to go see someone.
But then, yeah, I saw a few docs and stuff, and I think they reckon it's prenatal depression, I think it's called. But, I thought it was something like females, but I think it was 6 weeks off, and I took more time off actually because I wasn't doing very well. And the leasing's just dominating my life. Our dad brought us up pretty tough, which I look pretty tough now. So I didn't really think about stuff like that. I thought it would happen to you or just you.
That seeing someone definitely helped, like, big time. And then the cricket community, without realising it, helped more. I still don't exactly talk about that too much. Only my close friends really know. I suppose the main theory I went off was the 10,000 balls theory, where even though I'm doing a drop ball to myself, I count that as one ball, and I've hit one ball, turn into 500 balls a week. Obviously, I developed my technique that way. Hard to say because I've jumped the grades pretty quickly from the last 3 years, and we've made it back into ones, and the switch is sort of starting to happen from right to left, so I've got to probably develop that right side back. But it's hard to know how many balls I've actually hit. I've definitely hit 90% of balls left and 10% right, so I suppose this year it's probably about trying to develop that right side back again and catch up and then meet in the middle, hopefully somewhere through the season. I've taken a coaching role at West, which I'm really excited about, and I think having taught myself to bat left-handed, I really know I do know how to technically teach people how to bat. Having done that, I suppose in 2 years, turning myself into a Premier cricket batsman on the other side. And I also know that I struggle a little bit with pressure situations, so I know from my Big Bash experience, I wasn't quite ready for that uncomfortable environment. So I do like to put pressure on myself, and I suppose moving to West has started that pressure all over again. Something I probably didn't have to do. I could have stayed comfortable at Western Creek, which is the club I played at for the last 5 years. But I didn't really want that comfort zone because I know if I do end up, I might never make it, but if I do end up getting into a position where I'm uncomfortable, I want to know that I can handle that and I know that I'm ready for that.
Welcome to the first semi-final of the Conica Minolta Regional 2020 Cup. We've got West UC playing against Ginninderra out here at Phillip. Ginninderra won the toss and are going to have a bowl. And a good start from Condon as he hits the ball through point. A lovely shot. That will go all the way to the boundary. An outstanding start for West UC. Blake Dean comes out to the crease now, the coach of West UC. Obviously famous for the Southpaw Project. I'm sure some listeners and viewers will be familiar with.
In cricket, you're often going to have a coach who is playing in that first grade team, and his coaching role is effectively looking after the entire senior program, guys from first grade, second grade, all the way down to 5th grade, 6th grade if you've got it, to develop those guys as cricketers and as people. When you've got a guy like Blake Dean who is coaching at the club as well as playing, it sets an awkward sort of precedent because everyone expects the best out of every player, but the thought was if he's not playing right-handed, is he giving us everything he can? So it's a tough position for him to be in as a playing coach because he's trying to achieve something that can have a massive impact on the game in the bigger picture. But it's easy at that moment in time for everyone involved to think, geez, we're probably not getting everything out of him, and is he really taking it seriously?
Taking the coaching role at West that was a battle for me. I felt that from teammates. Like, no one likes to lose. Like, I'm not someone that likes to lose. I like to win. But when I went into a match, it was still looked at if I was batting left-handed, I wasn't trying my best. Therefore, I wasn't doing the best for the team, which playing first grade cricket, even though in my mind, averaging 30 in Premier cricket or 25 to 30 was really good and better than others, it didn't matter. I wasn't trying my best.
worked off his hands. A run-out chance at the top.
Good fielding by
dear,
Nissick.
Dear. That is probably the last thing that Blake Dean needed for his back there, having a bit of a dive to get into his crease there. I would be not so sure that he would have been necessarily safe there.
Since I started at West, I was coach first year, and I got injured. My back was struggling because I hit a lot of balls left-handed again, ready to play, and my back was struggling. So I only played I think it was 8 games that year. Didn't play much, didn't bowl at all, left or right-handed. Yeah, it was a tough year. I still was working when I wasn't injured on my left-handed game, but not as much. Then the second year again was tougher. I was injured a bit at the start, and then I kind of didn't know what I was doing. Did I want to play? Had I had enough? And didn't play. I don't think I played left-handed at all that year.
Wests had probably been a club that was pretty close to the mark, but hadn't quite had the sustained success that some other clubs had had in Canberra.
From first grade to fifth grade, finished minor premiers throughout the year, and then didn't get a chance. We won all our semi-finals, and we didn't get a chance to play the GF, so we all went through premiers. So we won all 5 red ball comps.
For him to move over to Wests and to win every grade that year was pretty phenomenal achievement for a club in Canberra cricket to have such success across the grades, across different formats.
Didn't really feel as big as it was because no one knew what was going on with COVID. So we won 12 premierships last year, and I don't think anyone celebrated a single one really because of the stage you're at and where we're at. And I just think it showed, because everyone went again internally at what their lives are like. What's your job? Is it sustainable if this happens or if that happens? So I did start as just a single net, and then Aaron Eyre, who played for Victoria for 5 years, he grew up here playing, and then I came down to celebrate a premiership in 2010, and we ended up playing cricket down here with a few drinks while celebrating, and I was like, oh, cool. And then we became family friends with David Ingrid upstairs, and then slowly we've sort of crept across over the last kind of 7 years. So, and then the gym kind of went in, and then the next cage went in, and all these kids have sort of seen that as well. Zave's been down here about 4 years, haven't you, Zave? Yeah. Alex has been down here too long. So they've all kind of seen it gradually change, and now we've sort of got to the point where we've outgrown it as well. Growing up, I was lazy, and I tell these kids that all the time. So I wasn't fit enough, I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't disciplined enough, I wasn't structured enough, and I still got close, yet I knew I probably wasn't doing those things. So now I make sure that the kids are structured, work hard, making sure they're physically fit, so just in case they get that opportunity that they're ready. So recovering all those things that I learnt myself, that I teach these guys, that I think are must-dos. Let's go, boys. Felix, you can start with Alex. Zave, you can start with me. So we've got power play. We'll start with the tape balls. So we've done outswing, in-swing last couple of weeks.
His clients all have the same feedback, like they make such a difference in the well-being of the people involved, Blake as a person involved, and the kids and their families. And I think that that's part of the service that can't be recreated, and it's something that's just in Blake and what he has created, and it's not necessarily anything really to do with his cricketing ability, but the thing that makes it successful, I think, is him as a person.
They've got the ability to switch it up in the field and go both ways equally well, or if they've got the ability to play a reverse sweep or even a switch hit, especially coming down sort of that 13, 14 age group, it's something that you don't see very often, and they're ahead of their time by being able to do that, and that's certainly something that he develops in his students.
Who you want to be? You can choose a player you want to be. Everyone chooses Marnus. None for none. 2, run him. Remember yep. 1, turn. If you hit it straight to a fielder, I'll let you know, but you back yourself.
He gets everyone a really, really solid base and then makes them different. And I know if you're in a pathway, if you can see a kid who's got a really good base, well, there's 60 or 70 of those at any given age level that you see. It's the ones that have something dynamic about them. It's the ones that can do something a bit different that really catch your eye if you're a selector or as a coach.
Oh, it's gone underground. Oh.
Dash idolises Blake, and with Blake doing the job he does now and having his own cricket academy, he has a lot more time with the kids, so he does spend a lot of time with Dash during the week. So Dash just loves kind of doing anything that Dad likes.
Want to show the basketball hoop? Ready before you go? Try one more. I suppose season 5, we've had a bit of a stall for the last 2 years with injury, and probably taking the coaching role at West has probably stalled the training element for the Southpaw Project. But I think it's the first time I've had a decent lead in the last couple of years, and the body's feeling okay. Now we're sort of in the 5th season, and I suppose it's gotten to the point where I need to actually try it for a full season. We got young Blake Faunce, who I've coached for about 8 years, and it's the first time I've ever played against Blake in a game, so I'm pretty excited about that. Also playing with Alex Corver, who I've coached for 5 years as well, so a sort of dual game. I've never played against one of my students before, which is exciting, especially probably the first kid I coached all that time ago. And then also having Alex play with me today is a pretty cool and proud moment for myself. I suppose this year I'm looking at probably the mental aspect of trying to become a cricketer, and a lot of the kids are dealing with mental preparation and failure a lot this year. So I think having me playing left-handed, I'll have to fight and try and mentally get into the game and try and figure out a way to stay in the team. Hopefully the goal is to, because you're still going to win premierships and being head coach of Western Districts, I can't just muck around. I've done the work left-handed, but the deal I've come up with Cookie is that if I get another crack left-handed and get a few games and try and get some good scores on the board, then I'll play right-handed in finals. But my goal behind that is to do well enough left-handed that I can switch through the year and bat left-handed to most balls probably coming into me, and then bat right-handed to off-spinners and balls swinging into me as well. Blake was bowling and Dave was coming up the other end. So to be honest, it was kind of it's funny because it's a win-win situation for me in a way, because if they get me out, I'm a fantastic coach, well done. And if I score runs, then I'm still a good player, so therefore apparently a good coach. The way they played the game was really impressive, polite. They were competitive when they needed to be. They were respectful from the people around them, and they had fun, which you could see the fun. I know they did well that game, but they're not afraid to lose, and they're not afraid to take the game on. And I think that goes for life as well. Like, they're developing some great skills for their futures. But yeah, that was like a pretty proud moment for me. Like, that's a lot of years in the making for that moment to happen. What are you working on? Jasper and his brother Felix came down about 2.5, 3 years ago to help them with their cricket journey. I don't think I noticed anything was wrong per se with Jasper, but he just was a talented kid, and I was always surprised at why he didn't give himself positive reinforcement. He just didn't quite have a perspective on himself, and that reminded me of myself a little bit.
I think I started getting way too obsessed with what people thought about me. I started getting worried about things like, if I don't do well, then I'm not going to get selected in anything. No one's going to think I'm a good player, so I put a lot of pressure on myself.
He was having a killer season. I think he was averaging 40 plus, would have played nationals as probably an extra young player. Like, he was very gifted, and people knew that. He was doing really well in grade cricket. And then this year he fully stopped just before Christmas. He just fell out of love with the game, and it really reminded me of myself, except I was a 27-year-old man and he's a 14-year-old kid.
Waking up in the mornings was it was pretty tough. I didn't feel like wanting to play. It made me feel sort of like sick to my stomach, sort of that feeling you get before growing up. It's also carried through my school life and everything around cricket. So being pretty anxious and yeah, very nervous around numerous different things. So I stopped going to school sort of, I want to say, early last year, just because it got a bit too much.
With all the players down here, I tend to share my story, and they know I've had my challenges. They always wonder why I only played one Big Bash game and why I stopped playing and started playing left hand. And they'd have all stories from outward places, parents, teammates, grade cricket. But I've talked to Jasper a lot.
One session down here, I was having a pretty average day. I was in a pretty bad mood, pretty cranky. And then he just said, why don't you just try batting left-handed next session?
We always like to experiment down here. We experiment with back lifts, we experiment with lots of different things, weight transfer, everything. And I just said, just try left-handed. It worked for me. It might take your brain off it.
Ever since that, I've just been batting left-handed every session. My main goal for this window is to become good enough in our winter games, so Southpaw Premier League. It felt good knowing that I could just mess up, no consequences.
The understanding of failure, so the resilience factor of failing as a process to being better, I think would be his biggest asset that he can pass on to kids. Someone who's then tried to do it the other way, who's not done it before, it's only going to help that he can maybe walk them through that.
It's very interesting for me to learn that to change your mindset, just switching sides, just can clear your brain, and you're using a different part of the brain, and it relaxes you and you put less value on it. Being able to just play an opposite side to what you usually do and reteach yourself something, his mind is freed. But I think someone his age starting it, like the sky's the limit.
We've got to think outside the box. I think cricket's heading that way. I think sport in general is heading that way. If boys and girls can do stuff left-handed, right-handed or both, then I think it's important that we don't actually coach it out of them.
It's interesting, the correlation, because before I went to the SCG, I said to Jasper, because he had stopped playing at that point, I said, mate, you miss out on all the positives if you're not willing to push through the hard times. And I think I messaged him that and I went, oh, maybe I should play this SCG game. I wouldn't want to play that if he wasn't going through what he did. And I went, oh, but hopefully show him a lesson here that, hey, I don't want to go, I don't want to play, a bit scared of the SCG. After this year, I decided just one last time to come down and try and enjoy playing in the SCG and enjoy playing around the boys and the last kind of time in ACT colours. With every kid from country cricket really emulates and wants to play at the SCG, and it's the ground, especially in country New South Wales, that everyone talks about. So you don't lose those dreams and those aspirations to play here, and all those memories that are sort of on the turf out there, everyone remembers, that everyone sort of loves to talk about. Everyone grows up thinking they want to play professional cricket, but sometimes, and a lot of people's dreams just turn into Premier cricket or just country cricket, and there's nothing wrong with that.
The ACT Aces will find themselves in the field first. It is going to be the Lake Mac Attack, the boys from Newcastle, that are going to be batting first. It should be a cracking final. And the first ball is a good one there from Annabelle, just seaming away just outside the off peg.
My kid's now 5 and 3, so it's gotten to that time where they have to go to school, and if I'm going to pursue my coaching, then I can't really have both. And I think the last 5-6 years has really been towards building myself up as a coach and enjoying the game that way, getting a different perspective on life, and trying to really enjoy the last few experiences I've got of actually playing cricket at a high level.
ACT at 131 to win. A rock and roll, here we go. Blake Dean now to face his first ball. Certainly took the pace off it. Dean works it around the corner tidily to dip back at square to Jack Hardigan. Goes straight, goes hard, that's 4.
He comes, he's looking for the ramp. He's got that over the top of the keeper, going down towards the boundary, and that'll be 4. That's a very, very good shot. 5 from the first 2. Is this the over where they go for it? Well, maybe it is. That's going all the way for 6. Big strike and a big moment in the game here by Dean. He's gone 4 and 6 in back-to-back balls. He's on a run of ball 39. He smacked that. That's going to be 4 more, is it? Down towards the boundary, well kept in by the rope. I fancy that's a boundary, and it is going to be given a boundary as well. So 4 more. This Blake Dean show continues to roll on here at the SCG. Chillingworth, he has to try and Can't with a reply here. He tries the ramp shot. He's got it again. That's going to be 4 more. Third 4 of the over. 19 from it. And there's still a ball to come.
Blake Dean only needing 1 to bring up his 50 here.
He's here. He's sweeping hard out into the deep. It's a marvellous 50. Dean has hammered that one. That has gone a long way. And that's pretty much the game there. He slapped that high and handsome. He runs Dean unbeaten at the non-striker's end on 70. As he faces up here, he drops it, and there it is. The ACT Aces get home and they win the Plan B Regional Bash for 2021. And they've done it really in a canter in the end, with still 7 balls to spare and 6 wickets down. And the day certainly belonged to Blake Dean. 70 not out in the final from 55 balls. That followed up his wonderful innings of 74 in the preliminary final win over the Arana Outlaws, and the day has belonged to him.
That was good fun. I don't think I've told the boys that'll be the last time I'm playing for Canberra, but that was good fun. So I think it was much better, much more positive experience than I had last time, I'll give you a tip. With no crowd around, just local people, it was good. So really enjoyable. Great to have positive experiences. Would have loved to have batted left hand out there. There's 2 balls left. Nathan Mine in the bowl. It's interesting reflecting on your whole career, having retired from sort of most cricket. Been going through the Southpaw Project, I think it gave me a certain point of resilience. So I think the anxiety still comes back. It came back a bit at the SCG in a pretty simple T20 format, just because I was back there. I think it exists and it was tough, and I think I've learned to deal with it in better ways. Was I able to do that at the highest level under all the pressure in front of all the cameras? No, but have I been able to do that at first grade Premier cricket level in grand final after grand final? I've been able to do it there, but I just wasn't able to transfer it as well as I'd like. Unlimited wickets, it's super over. Let's go. Oh, ready win? Ready winner. Watch the ball. I wish I could have played left-handed the whole time. It's just that being a coach and choosing the path I chose halfway through the project, it was fantastic, the experience at West, and it actually took me where I wanted to go with my life, with my family, with everything else. But did I get to push this project to the point I really wanted to? I'd say no. I'd say physically, I wasn't capable enough. And at the end of the day, it was tough switching both sides and being able to keep up the work ethic you needed to. Training, I wasn't quite up to scratch. And then I wasn't quite up to scratch with actually learning that experience and knowledge in matches, because time's the hardest element as a cricketer. You need time to be able to take it to the next level, and I just couldn't create that time for myself.
To a degree, he's certainly changed the game. Often it's not the first person to do something, but it's planting the idea in people to come, and then from there they take it, run with it, and the game changes, the sport changes.
You know, I think he's come out the other end really well. 2 beautiful young kids and a wife, and that was a tough time for him, but he got through it.
I know lots and lots and lots of cricketers that have dealt with those mental battles. It's not a thing that's just aligned with me, that's for sure. And mine's probably a lot better than others, to be honest. If it brings it up in sport, it'll bring it up in life, and then you just got to have platforms and structures in place to help you deal with that. Much like playing the game, I think, don't ever be afraid to go learn something new, even if you're 30 or if you're 25. There's just something about learning a new skill or a new art. And now it's interesting because cricket's not a new art for me because I know how to play it. It's just it was new for me because I was doing it another side, and it really accessed another part of my brain, which I really enjoyed, and I thoroughly enjoyed the challenge. I think I've taught myself a lot, I've taught others a lot, and I've learned a lot in the process.
Blake has always been told in his life that he needs to fit a certain mould, or that he needs to have a certain job at a certain time, and I don't think he's ever felt like he fits into that. So I think that message is exactly what he would have wanted to hear as a child. So I think that that's amazing that he can be that person, not only for his son, but for all the kids that he's involved with their lives.
You ready? Big swing. Oh, shit!
You're going to see kids want to follow suit. You're going to see kids bowl left-handed, bowl right-handed, bat left-handed, bat right-handed. They want to do it all. He's coaching a lot of kids that have already been welcomed into the ACT setup, and they're making a name for themselves as rising stars in Canberra.
Now it's sort of converted to Southpaw Cricket because it's gotten a bit bigger, and we've changed the name a little bit because we call it above ground sometimes at work, which is pretty funny, but the underground is no more, and now we're above ground in a nice, fancy looking facility, which never thought was possible.
I was an accidental coach, I think you'd have to say. Blake's taken it to another level, but still that discipline's there, and then he brings all the technical skills and trying different things and the new parts of the game and stuff. It's just, yeah, just really, really good to see that the kids he's coaching are getting really good. I think that's going to happen, but you see they've got big smiles on their faces, they enjoy it, you know, and that's a big part of it. It's really pleasing to see him go another level.
How does it make you feel to see him doing that?
Yeah, really proud, yeah.
Helping teenagers through that form of their lives, with cricket being one of their goals, is something I'm really looking forward to doing. And the one thing with being a mentor is you can start to see yourself in a lot of the kids and help them in certain ways, and they help you. Right, 6 to win. Glenn Maxwell will bowl. Actually, we'll go Lindsay. Lindsay's bowling. Who are you in the Aussie team? Oh, Maxie. Right, where's your 6? Got to go over the fence. Right, you ready? 6 to win. Oh! Good shot. I think this is what happened last time when we played. I'm not sure Lindsay's giving you half tracker like that usually, but